Do you still block her? I hope.
Yeah, I still block her.
Or did you? Oh, you didn't cut yet? Okay.
I think she gave up on being a Catholic.
Yeah, it was never an option. What are you talking about? Together, my ball sack. Yeah, you have a better shot getting in my ball sack, like fucking one.
Really?
Okay, we're going to pause these F-word losers and do what's called reading a book to counteract all this stupidity. We're going to read for about 30 minutes, then I'm going to go to the gym, and then we'll let these F-words continue their N-word rants about their dead friend who also loved using the N-word, the hard R, all the time, all day long. And as you just heard, ladies and gentlemen, this guy, Lou, was basically like an advertisement for AI products. And that's a little bit like eating the menu instead of the entrees and appetizers. But I hope you're enjoying the recording. This has been brought to you by someone who I think said he put in his 2-week notice. He's moving on to bigger, better things. Congratulations. He's not just a paper pusher anymore. He's a spy. You could probably go to the CIA and be like, yeah, I've been covertly recording conversations of some of the dumbest people in the world. Maybe I could take this knowledge and expand it into clown world, and we could eliminate the trillions of dollars of worth of fraud that are running through these NGOs. I just saw the list of how much money each state has given NGOs. I think it was just like in the past year. I don't even know the total dates, but it is a huge fucking scam of epic proportions. We need to shut the entire system down. And they're doing it basically because Trump is aware. I mean, Nick Shirley, man, changed the fucking world. The poor little Nick Shirley who can't even complete a sentence without making grammatical or errors because, I don't know, he's a special one. A special boy. Ah! Okay, we're going to read Dhammapada, Sayings of the Buddha. Ribono Shalom. Here we go. Oh, the thing about the Dhammapada is you're like, oh, maybe I should start on a different chapter. But all you got to do is go to the first chapter and you're reminded of the brilliance of it. I don't have any cannabis to smoke. I'm all out of cannabis. So you're getting a purely sober John at this moment right now. This is called Twins, Chapter 1 of the Dhammapada. Mind is the forerunner of all actions. All deeds are led by mind, created by mind. If one speaks or acts with a corrupt mind, suffering follows, as the wheel follows the hoof of an ox pulling a cart. Mind is the forerunner of all actions. All deeds are led by mind, created by mind. If one speaks or acts with a serene mind, happiness follows, as surely as one's shadow. He abused me, he mistreated me, defeated me, robbed me. Harboring such thoughts keeps hatred alive. He abused me, mistreated me, defeated me, robbed me. Releasing such thoughts banishes hatred for all time. Animosity does not eradicate animosity. Only by loving kindness is animosity dissolved. This law is ancient and eternal. There are those who are aware that they are always facing death, Knowing this, they put aside all quarrels. The one who lives for sensation, indulgent in eating, lazy and lacking in energy. The tempter Mara breaks, just as the wind breaks a frail tree. The one who lives mindfully, senses under control. Moderate in eating, devout, energetic. Cannot be overthrown by Mara, just as the wind cannot shake a rocky mountain. The monk's robe does not in itself render one free from stain. If the one who wears that robe is lacking in self-control and honesty, he is unworthy of such a robe. Only one who is free from stain, well-disciplined, honest, and endowed with self-control is worthy of the monk's robe. Those who fail to distinguish the non-essential from the essential, and the essential from the non-essential, will, in feeding on wrong thoughts, fail to attain the essential. On the other hand, those who correctly perceive the essential as essential, and the non-essential as non-essential, will, in feeding on right thoughts, attain the essential. As rain pours through badly thatched houses, so does desire penetrate the undeveloped mind. As rain fails to pour through a well-thatched house, so does desire fail to penetrate the well-developed mind. For the doer of evil there is only grief, here as well as hereafter. In both states he experiences grief, seeing his own unwholesome acts. For the doer of good deeds there is rejoicing, here as well as hereafter. Joy and more joy are his as he sees his own right action. The doer of evil reaps suffering, here and hereafter. In both states remembering, I have committed evil. Not only here, but hereafter, he experiences more suffering, because he has gone to a state of suffering. The doer of good deeds reaps happiness. Here and hereafter, in both states remembering, I have done good deeds. And there is more joy, because he has gone to a blissful state. A careless person, quoting much of the scriptural text, but not living it, cannot share the abundance of the holy life, just as the cowherd, counting other people's cattle, cannot taste the milk or ghee. Reciting a small portion of the scriptures, but putting it diligently into practice. Letting go of passion, aggression, and confusion. Revering the truth with a clear mind, and not clinging to anything here or hereafter, brings the harvest of the holy life. Number 2, mindfulness. Mindfulness is the path to immortality. Negligence is the path to death. The vigilant never die, whereas the negligent are the living dead. With this understanding, the wise, having developed a high degree of mindfulness, rejoice in mindfulness, delighting in the domain of the noble ones. These awakened ones, dedicated to meditation, striving actively and vigorously, attain nirvana, the ultimate security, the fame and fortune of the man who is vigorous, aware, unsullied, acting with consideration and restraint, become ever growing. The wise man, by vigor, mindfulness, restraint, and self-control, creates for himself an island which no flood can submerge. The foolish, the unwise, surrender themselves to negligence, whereas the wise man protects mindfulness as his most valuable possession. Don't lose yourself in negligence. Don't lose yourself in sensuality, for it is the mindful and meditative man who will experience supreme happiness. When the enlightened man frees himself from careless behavior through mindfulness, free of sorrow, he gazes on the sorrowing masses, as one on the mountain top gazes on the plain below. The mindful person among the mindless, the aware person among the unaware, surpasses the rest with his wisdom, like a superb racehorse outstripping an old, worn-out horse. By mindfulness did the Magavat, lord of two realms, reach the position of authority among the gods. So vigilance is ever praised and negligence ever disdained. A seeker, concentrating on mindfulness, advances like a fire, consuming the chains of bondage, both great and small. A monk or lay person, rejoicing in mindfulness, seeing the danger of negligence, cannot fall backwards and is close to nirvana. Subnotes. Magavat. According to the belief of ancient Indians, Magavat was the king of a certain heavenly realm. He was born into that realm and became its overlord as a result of good deeds he had performed in his immediate previous life as a man on earth. During that time, he fulfilled all his duties toward others mindfully. Seeker, originally the term here was bhikkhu, or monk. When the Buddha was speaking to his hearers, the bhikkhus were always standing near him. That is why in his general talks he addressed monks. One meaning of bhikkhu is one who discerns the fears of the round of rebirths. Chapter number 3, Mind. Just as an arrowsmith shapes an arrow to perfection with fire, so does the wise man shape his mind, which is fickle, unsteady, vulnerable, and erratic. Like a fish taken from the safety of its watery home, and cast upon the dry land, so does the mind flutter, due to the lure of the tempter. Therefore one should leave the dominion of Mara. How good it is to rein the mind, which is unruly, capricious, rushing wherever it pleases. The mind so harnessed will bring one happiness. A wise man should pay attention to his mind, which is very difficult to perceive. It is extremely subtle and wanders wherever it pleases. The mind, well guarded and controlled, will bring him happiness. One who keeps a rein on the wandering mind, which strays far and wide alone, bodiless, will be freed from the tyranny of the tempter. A man of fickle mind will never attain wisdom to its fullest, since he is ignorant of the Dhamma and his wavering faith. The heart of the fully conscious man is fearless. He has freed his mind of lust and anger. He has transcended both good and evil. Observe this body as fragile as an earthen vase. Build a mind as solid as a fortified city. Then confront Mara with the weapon of insight. And proceeding without attachment. Guard what you have already conquered. Certainly before long this body will lie on the ground, lifeless and unconscious, cast aside like a useless log. A mind out of control will do more harm than two angry men engaged in combat. A well-directed mind creates more well-being than the wholesome actions of parents toward their children. Chapter 4, Flowers. Who can truly see this earth, this body, this world of human beings as well as the realm of gods? Who is able to distill the wisdom of the Dhamma as skillfully as a designer of garlands selects choice flowers? Seka, trainee on the first stage of perfection, is able to grasp this earth, the human world, the dwellings of the unhappy ones, as well as the realm of the gods. He can bring forth the shining truth of the Dhamma, even as a skillful gardener selects choice flowers. See this body, as fragile and transient as foam. Know that it is as insubstantial as foam, and thereby destroy the tempter's flowery arrows, and put yourself beyond death's grasp. Just as a raging flood sweeps away a sleeping village, so does death claim a man of distracted mind, as he continually seeks more and more of life's fleeting pleasures. Death drowns the unsatisfied man, whose restless mind clutches for greater and greater pleasures. A monk should dwell and act in the village, like a bee extracting honey from the flower, but leaving the color and fragrance intact. Pay no attention to harsh words uttered by others. Do not be concerned with what others have or have not done. Observe your own actions and inactions. Like a beautiful, brightly colored flower without fragrance is the well-spoken word without action. Like a beautiful, brightly colored flower full of fragrance is the well-spoken word and the deed that matches the word. A man born to this world should do many good deeds. A garland maker makes garlands from a heap of flowers. The scent of flowers is carried no farther than the winds allow. Neither the sandalwood, tagar, nor jasmine, but the fragrance of the deeds of good men spreads to the ends of the earth in all directions, regardless of the wind. The aroma of sandalwood, tagar, lotus, or vasiki is excellent. Superior to these is the fragrance of right action, right speech, right way of earning one's living. Subnote Seka literally means a trainee, but it also refers to the person who entered the state of stream winner's level, where he experiences for the first time the full vision of nirvana. From that stage onwards until he attains arahantship, perfection, he is called Seka, one who is still on the path to perfection. The scent of tagar and sandalwood may be barely detectable, whereas the fragrance of the virtuous reaches the highest levels both among gods and men. Mara, the tempter, can never find where the enlightened ones are, for they live mindfully and in perfect freedom through perfect knowledge. Just as a sweet-smelling lotus blooms beside the highway upon a heap of filth, so does the disciple of the perfect Buddha rise above those bound blindly to the limitations of the world. Chapter 5, The Fool. All right, I'm going to take a quick little break here. Going to recreate some of these clown house worlds with Buddha. Chapter 5, The Fool. Long is the night to the sleepless. Long is the road to the weary traveler. Long is the cycle of rebirths to the unwise who do not know the truth. Should a traveler fail to find a companion equal or better, rather than suffer the company of a fool, he should resolutely walk alone. I have children. I have wealth. These are the empty claims of an unwise man. He cannot call himself his own. How can he then claim children and wealth as his own? To the extent that a fool knows his foolishness, he may be deemed wise. A fool who considers himself wise is indeed a fool. A fool may associate with a wise man throughout his life and remain untouched by his wisdom, even as a spoon cannot taste the flavor of soup. On the other hand, an aware man, in a moment's meeting, can learn from a wise man, even as the tongue tastes the flavor of soup. The unwise man, lacking understanding, behaves as if he were his own worst enemy, committing evil deeds that produce bitter fruit. It is unwise to do things that bring regret and require repentance, to cause suffering for oneself and a weeping and tearful face. It is wise to do things which do not require repentance, but bring joy and fulfillment, happiness and delight. Until he feels the effect, the fool rejoices in his evil deed. When the action reaches fruition, the fool harvests nothing but grief. Though the fool may practice asceticism, eating a speck of food on the tip of a blade of grass, he is not worth 1/16 of the Arhat, the knower of the Dhamma. An evil deed does not produce its results at once. It smolders slowly, like a fire covered by ashes, and finally consumes its doer, the fool. The things a fool gains amount to nothing. Unwholesome acts cannot bring him wholesome results. What a fool hungers for is false fame, authority, power over others, and generous offerings. He seeks recognition as a doer, a wielder of power, a knower of right and wrong. His craving and pride are insatiable. Subnote, in the original text, this verse reads, an evil deed, like milk freshly drawn from the udder, does not produce its results at once. When the Dhammapada was compiled, this metaphor would have been relevant to those familiar with the problem of keeping milk fresh in a hot climate without the aid of refrigeration. To the modern reader, this metaphor of spoiled milk may appear confusing, thus we have omitted it for the sake of clarity and ease in reading the text. There is a path that leads to worldly gain. Another road leads to nirvana. Let the seeker, the disciple of Buddha, embracing seclusion, take the path to wisdom and enlightenment. Chapter 6, The Wise. If someone sees an intelligent person who is skillfully able to point out shortcomings and give suitable reproof, let him cherish such a revealer of hidden treasures. Only good can come from such an association. Let the wise one guide, correct, and deter others from what is base and vile. He will be treasured by the good and spurned by evil. Do not choose bad friends. Do not choose persons of low habits. Select good friends. Be discriminating. Choose the best. Whoever drinks deeply of Dhamma lives happily, with a peaceful mind. The wise man rejoices in the Dhamma taught by the holy ones. Irrigators contain the flowing waters. Arrowsmiths fashion arrows. Carpenters shape wood to their design. Wise men mold their characters. As a solid rock stands firm in the wind, even so is a wise man unmoved by praise or blame. As a deep lake remains still and clear, so do wise men, listening to the teachings, attain a serene mind. The good certainly cling to nothing. They do not talk aimlessly, concerned with personal gains. The wise, the saintly, whether experiencing comfort or discomfort, show neither elation nor depression. Not for one's own or another's gain should one commit an evil deed, regardless of the desire for children, wealth, or kingdom, or any other kind of success. One should remain virtuous, wise, and righteous. The few cross over to the far shore. The many merely run back and forth fruitlessly along the side of the stream. But only those who follow the carefully taught law can cross to the other shore, beyond the grasp of death, so hard to overcome. Let the wise man shun the cauldron of confusion and proceed on the path of light. Let him leave the comfort of home, forsaking sensual pleasures, freeing himself from all obstacles, delighting in seclusion, not an ordinary man's choice, and devote himself to cleansing the blemishes of the mind. Those who have carefully cultivated their minds, in tune with the elements of enlightenment, who without grasping, delight in detachment, cleansed of all corruption and therefore shining brightly, send forth brilliant light. The Arahant. There is no burning for him who has completed the journey, who is free of sorrows and all else, who has broken off all chains. The mindful put forth great effort. They do not remain content in the household life, but leave their homes behind, just as swans leave a muddy lake. Arahants do not hoard. They take a right view of eating, focused on deliverance and void. They leave no trace, like the path of birds in the sky. He who is free from obsessions, eating simply, clear-headed, focused on liberation, like a migrating bird, leaves no trace of a track in the sky. Even the gods delight in the presence of one who has freed himself from pride and mental obsessions, who has his senses under control, like horses trained by an expert trainer. Done with the round of rebirths, he is as accepting as the earth, as firm as a doorpost, placid as a pond free of mud and dutiful. Whoever has reached a state of freedom through perfect wisdom, peaceful and unshakable, is non-violent in his mind, his speech is action. Whoever is in touch with the infinite, free of detachment, desireless, is the highest among men. Delightful is the place where the saints dwell, be it village or forest, cavern or open field. Delightful are forests, where more worldly men find no joy. Being free of the pull of desire, saints who seek no worldly pleasures find delight in such places. Chapter 8, Thousands. A single wise word, bringing peace to the listener, is worth more than 1,000 speeches full of empty words. A single verse full of meaning, bringing peace to the listener, is worth more than 1,000 verses full of empty words. One may recite 100 verses full of vain descriptions, but a single verse bringing peace to the listener is worth far more. One may conquer 1,000,000 men in a single battle. However, the greatest and best warrior conquers himself. Conquest of oneself is the greatest victory of all. Neither a god, nor a heavenly musician, nor a mischievous angel of the highest of the 6 heavenly abodes, the Paranimita heaven, where sensual pleasures prevail, can deprive the self-vanquished, restrained person of victory. The honor paid to the one who has achieved self-mastery for one single instant is worth more than monthly offerings of 1,000 pieces of gold. Honoring the one who has achieved self-mastery for one single instant is worth more than living in the forest, tending the sacred fire for 100 years. Making offerings for glory and recognition is not 1/4 as worthy as honoring the upright. Whoever shows reverence and respect for the aged is rewarded fourfold with long life, beauty, happiness, and strength. Even a single day lived virtuously and meditatively is worth more than 100 years lived wantonly and without discipline. A single day's life of a wise and contemplative man is worth more than 100 years lived wantonly and without discipline. A single day's life of a wise and contemplative man is worth more than 100 years lived wantonly and without discipline. A single day's life of one who puts out great effort is better than a life of 100 years lived in idleness and sluggishness. A single day's life lived by a man who grasps the impermanence of all conditioned things is worth more than 100 years lived in blindness and ignorance. A single day's life of one who sees the deathless state is worth more than 100 years lived without perceiving it. A single day's life of one who sees the truth is worth more than 100 years of not seeing the truth. Evil. Chapter 9. Do not lose a moment of doing good. Protect your mind from evil. Whoever neglects doing good is inviting addiction to evil. If a man has mistakenly committed an evil deed, let him not repeat it. Let him not be addicted to evil, for it is the amassing of evil that brings misery. On the other hand, if a man does good, let him do it repeatedly. Let him put his heart into it, for the accumulation of good brings blessings. Even an evildoer feels happy before his negative actions reach fruition. However, when the evil ripens, he will have a bountiful harvest of evil results. A good man sees what is unwholesome before his good deeds reach fruition. However, when the good ripens, he will have a bountiful harvest of good results. Don't underestimate evil, saying it can't happen to me. As a pot slowly fills up with water, drop by drop. So does the fool little by little become full of evil. Don't underestimate good. Saying it can't happen to me. Water falling drop by drop will fill even a large pot. Likewise, the wise man accumulating good little by little becomes goodness itself. One should shun all evil. As a merchant with treasure and a small caravan avoids a dangerous road, or as a man loving life shuns poison. If a man has a hand free of wounds, he can take poison in his hand. The poison cannot penetrate the hand that is free of wounds. Likewise, a man is not guilty when he acts with no evil intention. If someone harms an innocent person, one pure and free of guilt, evil results will fall upon the doer. like fine dust thrown against the wind. Some are reborn in a mother's womb. The evildoers are bound to miserable states. The doers of good are reborn to happy states. Those free of any stain go on to perfect peace. There is no place in the world, neither the sky, the sea, nor in mountain crevices, where an evildoer can hide, safe from the consequences of his action. There is no place in the world, neither in the sky, the sea, nor in mountain crevices, where one can escape the inevitability of death. Okay, this is chapter 10. This is the last reading from the Dhammapada. I hope you're enjoying it. This is candidate John Kitover, running for the 16th district to liberate the voters and constituents against the evil deeds of Darren the Hood Rat. Chapter 10, The Rod. Everybody fears being struck by a rod. Everybody fears death. Therefore, knowing this, feeling for others as for yourself, do not kill others or cause others to kill. Everybody fears being struck by a rod. Life being dear to all. Therefore, knowing this, feeling for others as for yourself, do not kill others or cause others to kill. If one, pursuing happiness, strikes living beings who also strive to live happily with a rod or other instrument, he will reap an unwholesome harvest. If one pursues his own happiness while causing no harm to other living beings who also strive to live happily, he will reap a wholesome harvest. Avoid harsh speech. Angry words backfire upon the speaker. By making yourself as still as a cracked cymbal, not retaliating, you achieve nirvana. As a cowherd leads the cattle to pasture, so do old age and death drive the life of all beings. The fool, committing evil deeds, realizes not their nature. The fool, due to his evil deeds, suffers as if scorched by fire. He who inflicts pain on the innocent comes to one of 10 calamities: pain, loss, injury, illness, insanity, danger from rulers, frightening accusations, loss of loved ones, loss of wealth. One of these will he experience. A fire will destroy his house. After the destruction of his body, the same foolish man will go to an unhappy state. Though he does penance through nakedness, with tangled hair covering his body with mud, fasting, rubbing himself with ash, and crouching in a posture of humility. None of these rites can purify a man who has not freed himself of doubt, regardless of attire or adornment. The guiltless one, calm, self-restrained, chaste, and resolute, refraining totally from hurting living beings, is the Brahmin, the recluse, the monk. It is the rare being who is restrained by self-direction, who does not invite reproof, as a good horse does not invite the whip. Be like a good horse, touched gently by the whip. The horse moves forward with full power and energy. Have an abundance of confidence, good conduct, effort, concentration. Be aware and attentive. Put aside this great mass of suffering. Those who would irrigate the land, bring the water wherever they choose. Arrowsmiths fashion arrows, carpenters shape wood. The virtuous mold themselves.
Okay, found it.
What
I'm gonna send this to you on X. If I can find you.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I deleted my account. I have an
Oh.
account.
Randy,
Just
why?
Telegram it. Just Telegram it